Welcome to the Literally First Class podcast, where I will teach you how to overcome anxiety and achieve somatic success. I'm your host, Keri Ford. I'm a somatic success and holistic life coach here to bring humor, insight, and wisdom to the modern day woman that wants to feel alive in her daily life. You ready? Come on, I saved you a seat in first class. You ever feel like you're just late to the party on learning things? This is exactly why I bought a piece of land in an up-and-coming community last year. It was like last fall. We closed on it in this golf community. Because I was like, I feel like I always find out about things way after, like after it's already a thing, after it's already successful, it's like well-established. I always miss the boat. And I was like, I'm not missing the fucking boat this time. So I, with this like weird intuitive urgency, knew that I needed to get a piece of land in this community. And so we did. And it's cool because it's actually already made us some cash. But I wanted to bring to the conversation today, something else that I have been deepening into learning. And I have just, over the past 2 years, there's been a huge, huge shift in the market. Let's first talk about kind of the state of the economy, but also like the state of mind of buyers. And this is really important. And toward the beginning of the year, I sent out a newsletter that was mental health forward. And I talked about the post-COVID hangover that nobody's talking about. 4 years ago, unprecedented times. Who would have thought we would all be wearing face masks, that we would be afraid of other people, hugging, that holidays would not be a thing with our family, and that we would be like the world would shut down. We would be isolated. We need connection, right? And as a result of this, people went into a very depressive, stressed out state. On top of that, some people are in unhealthy, unsafe living environments, and going to work or going to school actually is a saving grace for them, literally a lifesaver. On top of that, people that overeat or numb out using other things like alcohol was at an all-time high, purchasing alcohol. People were not going outside, so they're getting reduced sun. People were scared to go to the gym and maybe didn't have access to home equipment. And now they have no work-life boundaries because if you didn't work at home before, you certainly did now. And maybe you didn't even have a home office that was separate from your living space. So I actually remember giving a corporate talk. We did a 4-session corporate thing around, how to create a work-life quote unquote balance and how to be in a healthy state of mind during uncertain times. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people haven't fully come out of that because the world has changed since. Systems that used to be stable and safe have since felt a little shaky. I'm going to say school systems, for example. I think a lot of people have gone into homeschooling since then. But also, there is some sort of safety and stability that all of these systems create for us in a way that they seem like they're always just going to be there. They're going to be steady. They're going to be reliable, right? It's a structure that we feel like is solid. And when those went away, hell, we were out of toilet paper. People were going crazy. We had limited buying rights on chicken, one per person. And it just created a lot of fear in an already fearful state. So you add all of that on top of it being an election year. Now we're in an election year again. And there is a post-COVID hangover from that. People's lives have forever changed from the pandemic. Think about it. How many of us were never on Zoom to the level that we're on or at all before, but now we are? How many of us have had an office space that we used to have and used to be required to just go into? Not even required, but it was just like we go into work. It wasn't like required or not. People didn't have rotation of days. How many of us have offices that have since closed down their space and have gone fully remote? How many of us have still not gotten dressed from the bottom down? Right? How many of us have managed all of these online operations and SOPs that we didn't have in place before, but when everything that wasn't online now went online, we have, And then you come back to this new normal-ish thing where we're kind of back, we are back in person, but there's a hybrid. But then you have all these online systems to maintain too for all the, remote employees. And it's like this mishmash of things, but now we're at even more capacity because there's more things to manage. And then, teams are getting leaned out because there's been, a recession and inflation. Eggs are $13 and, you still can't add too many things of almond milk to your cart. So all of that combined, like that's a lot. That is a lot. And it certainly influences buyer behavior. And along with that, let's say you're in an online business, coaching and consulting space like myself, your business, maybe like mine, blew up in the best of ways in 2020, 2021. Woo, you were riding a high. Everyone had more time and more money. So you have, a live webinar? Sure, I'll be there and I'll consume the whole thing and I'll be fully present. What else am I going to do? Oh, you have a retreat. Thank God, I'm dying to travel and, I need to get out of my apartment. They had more money. They had more time. They had more attention. This was pre-reels. This was before, the ADD consuming patterns of information. People have like literally a 3-second attention span now because we're trained to just swipe and swipe and swipe and consume. So that now with all the other things that have come as a result, and there's still this lingering trauma that has occurred from all of those things, then you see kind of the pendulum swinging another way. So here's how I'm seeing it show up with money. And I made a post about this a couple weeks ago, but how I'm seeing it show up with money is, okay, people have more time and more money. Maybe they made more money in their business if they were an online entrepreneur, or they became an online entrepreneur, as many people decided to do. Or maybe they had some extra funding or help, right? Governmental assistance, etc. Either way, they were spending a lot more money. Most people, if you told them that there is a recession coming, that your dollar won't go as far, and that there will be inflation, they likely wouldn't have spent that money. And so you have a lot of people sitting in regret and lack of trust now. So they don't trust themselves to know what's right. Maybe they've invested in something that was a flop with a newly engaged entrepreneur in the online space. Go listen to Somatic Sales, the last podcast that I just filmed, which I talk about. You can't just charge what you think you're worthy of because you're worthy of everything. You have to charge like what makes sense for the person you serve and also your level of expertise and value and the results that you actually can create. You don't just decide to I'm going to go into business one day and charge out to wazoo. So a lot of people were charging a lot, not delivering, fully on the fulfillment end of things, not creating the results they said they were going to do. And so maybe people made a busted investment. Maybe people just spent too much money. And through that combination, I heard somebody online call it this, now we're in a trust recession. So they don't trust you and they don't trust themselves. So you got to create trust. And they don't trust themselves because they feel like they should have known this was coming. They feel like they should have known the recession was coming. They should have known that inflation was happening. And if I had known, I wouldn't have spent all that money. And I think about all the money I would have now. And I'm in this tight spot. I'm stressed out about money and no one's getting a raise. And in fact, people's jobs are getting cut and I'm taking on more work and I'm still not getting paid more, or my business isn't doing as well. And now I'm just everything's tight and I'm watching my credit card go up and it's tough. And the dips in the valley started in probably 2022, I would say, in people's income. In 2023, same. But there are the people that have figured this out. And this that they have figured out is how to market and how to create a message that creates trust in an uncertain, lack of trust, consumer audience. And so I feel like, what I was seeing working in our business a couple years ago just was not working. Not only from an engagement standpoint, because first of all, Instagram changed what it was pushing. It was like I needed to suddenly be a video editor, not just a writer, and have cool pictures, right? Because remember when it was just like a post with a picture before carousels, then it was carousels, then it was reels. And so now all of a sudden you have to be like a fucking video editor and no cap cut and all these other things. Anyway, I feel like I'm always late to the party with some of this stuff, but I have been really, really tuned in to what is going on in the market with messaging and what is converting and what is not and why. I wanted to know why. Why isn't what used to work not working anymore in terms of attracting people, creating trust, reducing barrier to entry, and giving people the support that they actually want and need? But they're just scared. They're scared about what could happen. They're scared. They're uncertain about the election year. They are nervous about money patterns. And now they're like, I'm also seeing this with money. They think they're healing their money pattern by not spending the money, right? And being more responsible now, they're saying, and sure, yes, there's maybe an element of that, but also they've overcompensated in the other direction where they're just holding them tightly under their wallets. Now money's not even going into circulation, which is partly why we're having this issue. And they're not spending any money at all now. So here is what I am seeing, and I'm just going to give you guys the goods today. I'm going to just share with you exactly the playbook that we are following and what we're seeing and what I have studied for the last, probably since the end of 2022 steadily, because there was a sharp change in what was working, a sharp shift in a decline in engagement. Now, granted, I did something crazy and I unfollowed everybody on Instagram at one point. I think that really fucked up my algorithm. I don't recommend doing that. At the time, it felt very aligned, and I'm sure there's a beautiful lesson in there, but I don't recommend doing that. So the playbook is this: give away your best value for free in every post. Think about how you can serve someone. How can you share the stuff that you're already doing from inside your coaching, your consulting, not just educational posts, but how can you share actual value, like a mini teaching tidbit? What can you share? Give away your best stuff for free. In your media, in your social media. Offer more freebies, and as a thank you, collect people's emails and phone numbers. You guys know, if you've listened to my podcast, my Instagram was fucking hacked and taken away. And you're like, oh my God, it's like, you're building on borrowed land. And then all of a sudden, I talked about it being my bagel shop. My bagel shop's closed and there's some punk outside that's changed the locks and I can't fucking get in to make bagels. What? There's people in the DMs that are waiting for links and we're trying to schedule calls. And I'm like, I don't have access. So take your people off social media and get them into an email list. Emails are the only thing that you own unless the movie Leave the World Behind comes true, where we don't have any Wi-Fi, in which case we're all fucked. So if you have an online business. But more freebies in exchange for emails and phone numbers. Phone numbers convert higher. Text messaging services convert higher than emails. We have a 40% open rate on our email list, which is extremely high. Amazing. Phone numbers get opened that much more. And videos open that much more. I think it's 80%. So get people off social media. Give them value on social media, engage with them, and then get them off social media and some freebies. We just opened something called the Wealth Vault. You'll see that in the show notes below, because we had all sorts of different freebies, kind of like Choose Your Journey, which is super fun, I think. And there's 3 different ways that we collect email addresses and phone numbers. Actually 4, off of social media and from our website. The first one is our newsletter. Our newsletter goes out weekly. It was going out bi-weekly for a little while, but we're going to do it weekly now. That's just a value add. I want you to just get a cup of coffee, sit down and read it once a week. It goes out on Tuesdays. And I share frameworks. I share lessons and learnings and little mini trainings. And of course, some announcements as far as our champagne club dinner, which, by the way, if you haven't bought your ticket for that dinner event, what are you doing with your life? You need to be in that room. It's for female founders and investors that are looking to level up their network and have a really amazing dinner and talk about wealth instead of weather. We're done with the rooms that we have to play small in. Anyway, we'll put that link down below as well. But the Wealth Vault has the newsletter. It has a link to our podcast, which then our podcast show notes also has the Wealth Vault in it. So they kind of feed each other. We have the Limitless Leader Playbook, which right now is free. It might be something we charge for in the future, but that's a 3-part training series with a workbook on how to identify your upper limits and move past them so that you can stop sabotaging every level of growth and success, and identify your fear of success. So that's amazing. That's in the Wealth Vault. And what's the last one I'm forgetting? The Facebook group. The Facebook group collects emails and phone numbers. It's actually required in order to get in. It's called the Somatic Success Society. It's a small, intimate group. A couple years ago, I closed my group down of thousands of people, and I reopened a new one. This one has about 300 women in it. And we collect your email and phone number from the Facebook group, and you're required to answer all the questions to get in. And that's just a small, very protected community where I post announcements first because you guys are in my VIP club. So yeah, that's collecting people, but then it's also sending you to the freebies. So like all that stuff works together. Okay, so that's number 2. More freebies in exchange for emails and phone numbers. And different things. Offer different things. Some people want a meditation. Some people want a playbook. Some people want a quick worksheet. Someone else might want a pre-recorded masterclass. Whatever lights you up. This message sponsored by Po Hung Yu. Have you ever thought about microdosing before? Maybe you've even seen documentaries like Fantastic Fungi or How to Change Your Mind on Netflix. By the way, I have a funny story about the Fantastic Fungi, but you're going to have to ask me offline. Or maybe you've heard about the extensive research happening in the best universities and the evidence showing how mushrooms are game-changing for those with anxiety, depression, ADHD, and even PTSD. So many female leaders and moms have jumped on the microdosing bandwagon to help them better manage modern-day stress. I want to introduce you to our new brand partner, Po Hung Yu. She's a self-mastery mentor, microdosing guide, and a former acupuncturist. And as a successful woman like me, like you, imagine a life where your brain and your nervous system can just relax. That's exactly what happens when you microdose and you're guided by an experienced facilitator. So you can actually be present and enjoy your life minus the anxiety, overwhelm, and stress. The best part is you don't feel high, there's no psychedelic effect, and no one will know. You can still work, be with your kids, drive, exercise, and live your normal day-to-day life. But you'll still receive all of the amazing benefits of mushrooms, like increasing neuroplasticity, flow, creativity, focus, and even your connection and intimacy with your loved ones. Not only will you receive a 15-minute consult where Po will tell you exactly how this process works so you can decide if it's a fit for you, but you'll also get a bonus of $500 off and a complimentary root cause assessment call worth over $800 when you decide to work with Po. Click the link below in the show notes to get started today. The next thing, this one, oh my gosh, took me so long. I've literally invested, I've probably invested almost $60,000 in understanding this third one. Because I hired someone in 2022 to help me with my messaging. I was like, what the fuck is not working here? I know what I sell is esoteric, but like how can I talk about somatic work in a way that makes sense, right? And again, marketing is a lot of testing. So we learn how to do this through trial and error with my team. We do a debrief every time we have a live launch, every time we do a live event, every time we run a group. We have mid-program check-ins, we have testimonial forms, all the things that can help gauge the client journey experience, which if you're inside the Apex Academy, you've seen that in action. If you're not inside the Apex Academy and you want to see it in action and you want support with how to do this kind of thing in your business, you got to get inside. You can do 6 months or 12 months, but that is an amazing program. I'm actually live coaching you every single week. It's awesome. So the third one, this one took me so long to realize. Specific solutions for specific people that solve something specific. Did I say specific enough? It's got to be fucking specific. I don't know why, but this took me so long to get. I think it's because when you are a very intuitive, spiritual, empathic human that learns how to suddenly access her feminine state, you kind of don't know how to find your way back to doing some of the masculine structures and commitments, right? So it is all you need both energies. You need both your masculine and your feminine. If you're too much in your feminine flow, you just have a big puddle of water with no riverbanks or direction, right? If you have just masculine structure, you've got riverbanks with no water flowing, right? It's not going anywhere. It's just got a bunch of rocks with a dry waterbed. You need both, right? The river has both. It has the riverbanks, which is the loving arms of the masculine to just guide you and hold the water in. And then you've got the water feminine flow that has a direction and force, but it's still powerful, right? There's softness and there's power in all that. Anyway, I think I got a little too far into the feelings and the feminine because then I realized I was building a business on feelings and what felt good to post and how I could communicate about my journey and like what I was learning, and everything was like constantly a healing. And there are seasons of that, yes, where you're in your healing cocoon. But like, if you want to run a sustainable business, this isn't about you. Yes, they're buying you as a personal brand, let's say, or you're buying me as a personal brand, but it's not about you. Like, people do want to know things about me, like how I got to where I am or how I'm solving for different things, or maybe they want to hear a little bit about that, but that's like for podcast interviews, you know? Like, that's not for the grid. That's not for your freebies. You want to know, can I help you with your problem? You don't want to know what my latest and greatest like healing journey is. Otherwise, you're just going to be like really inspired, or you're just going to deeply resonate with my content, right? I was getting a lot of that on my post, which was like, love this, so inspired, you're amazing. But like, that doesn't mean sales. That just means engagement and people are kind of vibing with you, right? Or supporting you or loving you. So that doesn't result in sales. They want to know, they're only going to pay you money, especially now. They're only going to give you money if you solve something very specific for their specific thing that they're going through and for the avatar that you specifically serve. It's specific. So it's not blanket marketing or big promises. I totally got lost in the sauce. Now, I'll tell you, 2020, 2021, that worked, right? This is what it sounds like. You know, unlock your next level and feel good to reclaim your power, or reclaim your power and build your dream life. What the hell does that mean? It sounds good. It feels good to read, but I don't know what that means, and I don't even know if you're talking to me. So I realized, and after doing a lot, I mean, this is unnecessary for you to do, but with my messaging person, we had probably over 90 pages of just creative brain dumps where I was sharpening the axe. Who do I serve? How do I serve them? What do we do? Right? What do I do well? Going back to my last episode, go listen to the somatic sales episode. I talked all about how I chased building this business that wasn't aligned to me because I thought that's what I should do. So you see people copying online, and it's like, make sure that what you're copying is actually even working for that person. You might be copying a strategy that's not even working for them. You're copying testing, not strategy that's actually proven. So no blanket marketing, no big promises. What does dream life mean? What does next level mean? What does unlocking mean? Somebody's dream life might be to go live on a farm and make sourdough bread while they're present with their kids and they have monthly recurring revenue with courses that they've created. Someone else's dream life might be living in the city, getting a blowout 3 times a week and traveling the world while they fly their clients to VIP locations and host global retreats or do VIP things. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of different ways that a dream life can be interpreted. And what about unlock? Is this woman or person stuck? What are they feeling? So here's another thing that I have learned. Not pain point marketing. Here's why. It's like shame-based and mean girl. That's the energy of it, which is like kind of bullyish. And here's what had me realize, like, oh my God, this is kind of a bad habit that we picked up somewhere along the way, which is that you think when you point out the pain that someone has, that now they need you and then they'll hire you because the pain is so bad. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to attract so many people in pain that they'll never even know that there's a way out of the paper bag that they're in. They are so entrenched and committed to their stories of victimhood, they can't even think about how this could be for them as a greater gift, even though it's painful. You want to work with people that at least understand that everything is happening for them. And I think I've gone through the 4 states of consciousness, but a quick refresh on that for the podcast listeners that are just joining me is we've got victim, it's happening to me; victor, it's happening for me; vessel, it's happening through me; and verity, it's happening as me, all the way through the embodied oneness, right? So you at least want people in victor consciousness, which means what? That they're empowered, that they are sophisticated, that they are smart, that they are going to resonate more with desires and dreams and potentiality and possibility, because it's not a matter of if they're successful, it's a matter of when. When they have the right specific solution, strategy, coach, whatever, then they will be successful. They already know that because they have a certain level of success. They have a certain level of tolerance. They have, a certain level of resiliency and capacity and all of these amazing, beautiful qualities that make the women I work with such a joy to work with. The clients that are nightmares that you want to fire are probably the ones in victim mentality. They're also the ones that are the hardest to convert because, like I said, they can't find their way out of the paper bag. So you've got to change how you're talking to people, which is it's not pain point marketing. Are you stuck and overwhelmed? We were talking a lot about anxiety and finding peace and reducing stress, which is great. And I still do that in the back end of our programs, but we're not leading with that as our message because I was like, what's the result of less stress and less anxiety and more alignment? Oh, well, we have 81 pages of testimonials that say we make women more money. We're going to claim that. We're going to start talking about our results, not just feelings. So when we talked about, if you're stressed out and burned out and whatever, what do you think that you attract? People that are like chaotic. They're so stressed, they barely have a time to even get a call on their calendar with you. They're so stressed, they can't even think about having spaciousness in their calendar to sign up for another program. They're so stressed, right? You get the picture. So who you're talking to, you are totally going to attract. So that one took me a little bit too, because I immediately as a default would go almost into this, I hate to say it, like shame-based marketing. And I was like, that isn't even who I am when I'm coaching. That's not the rooms I build. Those aren't the experiences I have. And I thought, how can I show more of like who I really am when I'm coaching behind the curtain, forward facing in our marketing? I don't want my client to need me. I want them to want to work together. I want them to be excited. So not talking to the pain points, because then you attract people in a lot of pain. And it's also mean girl marketing. I want women to come to me and feel good reading my content. I thought about, how do I want people to feel when they're on our social media page? I want them to feel like they can do anything because they can. I want them to know that I see them working hard and maybe it's a little bit of a stressful season, but it's okay. You're being prepared for something greater. I want them to know that they're so close to achieving whatever that next level vision of wealth and, one step closer to their dreams, whatever that looks like for them, is like right here. Keep going. I want them to feel good, not like a piece of crap that has, so many issues and here's another pathologized issue. And you get into that too with the somatic work or people that are in the healing realm where it's like everything's always a problem and everything has a name. Now you're wrong for having, I'm thinking back to this one post. Now it's not wrong. I will say there is still a thing as trauma drive. We call it trauma drive, where it's like the constant need to go, go, go. But again, it's from the place in which it's shared. You don't want to make people wrong for being driven, because then you're also coming at it from an identity thing. Then there's a barrier to overcome an identity that's actually helped them get a lot of success. So if that's creating a barrier, that's an issue. Okay, and then the last thing here, I've already listed 4 things, and I'll recap in a second. The last thing here is just take them to the next step. If you're dating somebody, you're dating this potential client that's interested, just because someone likes a post does not mean that they're going to join a program. Just because somebody wants a link doesn't mean they're going to pay you. They just might want to check it out and get all the facts and do the research because maybe last time they didn't, or maybe they've been burned, or maybe they're just weighing their options right now. And that's okay. They're allowed to do that, but you can just take them to the next step. Maybe it's not as large of an investment. Maybe that's the next step. Or maybe the next step is just sharing more free resources with them. That's why you have to have a body of work and a library of resources. I ask people when they follow me or when we're interacting, hey, if you tell me a little bit more about where you're at in your business, I might be able to provide some free resources to you that could be helpful. Let me know what's coming up for you and where you're at. What are you in creation of this year? And then I'm like, cool, here's this free community. You can come in and there's some trainings here, but I also have this podcast episode I thought you might like. And they're like, oh my God, thanks. So we're just dating. Okay. It's if there's a guy at the bar and he makes eyes with me and then he buys me a drink and I get a free drink. I am not going to go home with him that night. We're not going to go get married. We have to just date and respect the process of relationship. Just because we're online, it doesn't remove that. So just take them to the next step. If we're jamming phone calls and application links down their throat or a $25,000 investment right out the gates, they might not be ready for that. So the next step could be just another free resource, another date night, before you propose to them. So those are the 5 things, right? Give your best stuff away for free in every post, more freebies, and as a thank you for their email and phone number, you give them things. Get them off social media. Then number 3, specific solutions for specific people that solve something specific. Paint a vivid, specific picture. Be specific. Specific, specific, specific. Right? Do you create $10,000 more a month in 3 months or less? That's specific. As a mom that also has another business who is over 40, I don't know, right? It just has to be specific. And then number 5, just take them to, number 4 is desire marketing over pain marketing. And number 5, just take them to the next step. Keep dating. Keep dating. So I hope this is helpful. I feel like I'm getting it. I have been poring over books, studying and reevaluating our client journey. I spent a whole weekend, as you guys know, that are on my email newsletter list, mapping out our offers, identifying where I can help people better and more. Where can we improve our dating experience? What's it like to date us? What's it like to date me? I want it to be a pleasant experience and fun where every time that we have a touch point, they're excited about it. And a lot has come from that. And so that you don't have to spend the amount of money I've spent on learning it and feeling like you've learned it the hard way and feeling like you've maybe learned it a little too late. This is what I am seeing in the market, what has been working for us, what has been working for other friends and colleagues in the space. All right, keep it first class, and I'll see you on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed your flight, and I'll see you on board again soon.
Seriously, though, thanks for listening. If you're ready to take this work deeper and upgrade your mind, I want to invite you to join us inside my Millionaire Mindset program. This is where you'll start using my guided meditations to help you overcome anxiety and experience even more abundance. When you join, you'll have access to my entire audio library. Head over to elevatewithkeri.com and we'll see you inside.